How to learn drum beats like a session player. So I received a DM from Carrie who really wants to learn Beyonce's I Care. The only trouble is there's no sheet music for her to read. I'm gonna use her example and show you how I would learn it as a session player. These steps that I'm gonna show you, I use for when I am doing an audition, preparing for a performance or a live piece of work or in the studio, and also for my producer versus drummer series. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a very efficient way and a very thorough way to really nail drum beats. So let's get into it. Step one, always for me, is to just do some active listening. So I will put on the track and I will listen to it as if I am just the average listener, because I really want to take in what the producer is saying and or the live musicians who are playing on it. And I find that really hard to do if I've got the track on and I'm trying to learn it in real time. I like to just take a minute to enjoy the song as a whole, feel its dynamic range. It's basically telling a story. So that's where I start. Let's listen to the song. We'll just scrub through and we'll just get a vibe for what's going on. So already I'm listening to the fact that it's toms and there's a clap. The toms sound kind of electronic, so I'm noticing, okay, these are electronic sounds, so I'm either going to have to emulate those sounds on acoustic kit or program them in. It's sultry, it's a slow tempo, lots of space. Clap on the 2 and 4. Tom pattern will work that out. Later on in the song, we have offbeat hi-hat, open hi-hat. Then we're laying in the chorus, sizzling hi-hats, laying in, attitude. We're not messing about. I can hear that the beat is changing between verse, pre-chorus, chorus. There's slight variations, but then what I'm noticing is dynamically ramping up towards the chorus, you know, like by the chorus, we are going all in. There's attitude, because as Beyonce is doing her riffs, the drummer, the band has got to lift behind her. This is the difference between learning a beat and learning a beat like a session player, because this is all the other information you're taking in. It's about the feel behind it. It's so much easier if you love the song. You know, if you're actually like, this is a tune, you can have that on repeat and by osmosis taking in information anyway. So the next step is to show you how to get the song and extract the drum beat. Do as I say and not as I do. So I'm going to download this song from Apple Music. Don't be naughty, buy the tune. Oh my God, da 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 da. Oh, this is so annoying. I've forgotten my Apple ID. Oh, wow, let me do what I need to do. What are you doing? Bye. So often you may be given just like a really rough version. It may be a demo version. Vocals may be detuned. It might be a really low res MP3. It might even be sometimes MIDI, which can be really hard to lock into. You're playing to plugins and stuff. So say if you're just given the MP3, you just have the song and you're like, oh, you know what would be so useful is if I had just the drums on their own. So we're going to use a program called Moises AI. For the most part, it's pretty accurate. I think sometimes if the songs are old and they use like sort of strange recording methods, sometimes you'll get things bleeding into the separate stems. Locate the song from your desktop, boom. Press next, boom. Press, and then here's your split, as you can see. So vocals, instrumental, some of them are locked because that's premium, but for now we just want the 4 tracks, vocals, drums, bass, other. Because you might want to just like rock out with just the bass but not the vocals, and you can sort of mix and match what you need. Moises is very good because it will tell you the tempo as well and give you a click track if you want it. There we go. Now we have our separate stems. So now what we're going to do is we're going to press export, make them MP3s, and export them all. And the next thing I like to do is transcribe out the beat. The reason why I do this is it's another way of actively listening, but now we're going more under the microscope. Now I'm going instrument specific. So you have the different learning styles. I think the acronym for it is VARC, visual, oral, read and kinesthetic. So I see it as like compound practice. So you're not just relying on muscle memory and the playing aspect. You actually will have the sheet music and you'll go, oh, I remember the structure. And it's good because if in an audition or a live scenario where people want to change the structure of the song, they may be talking in bar lengths and sections. And so you will know, oh yeah, verse 2, 16 bars, cool, we're going to half that. When you're used to practicing things and learning things just via playing, you will come unstuck. And I have been in situations where I have gone to rehearsal, gear was late arriving, at the same time as the artist arriving early, we ran the tunes 3 times and the rehearsal was finished. Because I had really nailed it and I remembered the structure and I knew what I was doing when we were making edits on the fly, it was so much easier to keep up. Let's write it together. Feel free to get out some manuscript and let's do this. This is something I use in Producer versus Drummer a lot, especially because I'm trying to emulate beats that are not played by a drummer live. So a lot of it is electronic parts. I'm really listening for what is the most consistent thing. Now, normally, if we're playing a beat that isn't tom heavy, that would be the hi-hat. But in this example, I'm really locking into the clap and the kick because those things aren't changing. Okay, so that's kick and snare, kick and clap, sorry. So already from the kick and the snare pattern, I worked out that it's a 2-bar phrase. Now we've got the tom pattern. So the tom pattern is sweet because it's the same in both bars, so that's good. Now we're going to combine them both together. So the first 4 16th notes are occupied by kick and then 3 toms. Okay, so then you have and then some tommy tom toms, and then at the very end you've got 3 16th notes that are taken up by 2 toms and then a bass drum. And then that little skip bass drum that you have is sort of made because you have a bar that ends with a kick and then a bar that starts with a kick. So you get that. So that's kind of cool. So the only difference between bar 1 and 2 is that little skipped bass drum on the last 16th note of the bar. That's the attention to detail you need, because in an audition, if you go ahead and go, oh man, I'm just going to play the same bar over and over again, they will pick up on that. Musical directors, artists, producers, they don't just do this stuff for the fun of it. 2-bar cyclic beats are a thing. So are 4-bar beats. Pay attention to detail. It makes a difference in terms of feel, attention span to the listener. And that's what makes you stand out more. I promise you that. Oh my God, excuse how ropey it looks. It's because I'm drawing on an iPad. Make sure you're not skimming over detail. Once I've got it in my hands, I dash the sheet. I don't need it anymore. If you want to, write yourself a chart for the structure of the song. Like if you have a beat where it's not humanly possible to play, like this one, some things you can physically play them and they don't sound tight. So you can still get the flavor of stuff. For instance, when we get to the chorus, we got those sizzling hi-hats. And then actually the groove is really straightforward. It's just like quarter notes on the hats. And they're sizzling over to the next quarter note. Make sure, see, that's another attention to detail. Psh, 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 psh. Do you know what? They don't even really shut. Psh, psh, they're open until the next hi-hat. Leave it sizzling. They want it sizzling. The kick and snare are in the same place, 2 and the 4, and then you've got the kick in the same place. These are big beats, big beats. You can only really play the tom pattern with the clap and the kick, right? Or the hi-hat, snare, and kick. For an audition or whatever, it might sound a little ropey. So you just have to gauge it by taste, your taste. In an audition setting, this sets you apart from others. How you interpret the information is kind of what makes you you. It's trial and error. So I tried playing just the kick, snare, hat pattern. Sounds a little bland, right? If you feel comfortable, you could go back to the MD and say, okay, I'm hearing that there's like quite a few different things to play here. Is any of it going to be on track? So they may come back to you and say, yeah, the tom pattern is going to be on the track, on the playback. So meaning you don't have to worry about it. They just want you to play real live drums. Great. If they say, listen, it's up to you, my personal taste tells me that first kick, snare and hats in the chorus, just a little bit bland. What I can hear is like the toms that just poke through. Put them on the kick. Put them on the kick with some dynamic range. Let me tell you. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully that was useful. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything else you'd like to see. I have a community called Making It in Music where I help aspiring session musicians reach their goals. It's free. It'll be a chance for you to meet other like-minded musicians and work with some mentors. I will also have courses there too, so come join in.